Welcome back to another OMLab tutorial. Today we're going to shake things up a bit, do things a little bit differently. We're not going to be doing a procedural workflow type of tutorial, so you're going to be stuck looking at my ugly mug for a few minutes. I'll try and keep it pretty short and succinct, so you guys don't have to tolerate it for too long though. We're going to continue our conversation about getting out of these ruts and routines that can drive you nuts and escaping things like writer's block when they pop up. And I'm just going to go ahead and gamble that you are in the place or one of the places where you struggle with these things the most right now as you watch this video. So what I'm going to recommend is a little exercise that you can try as soon as you get done watching this video. And it can help you a great deal. And it can remind you just how simple and fun music really is. Okay, and this is something that I talk through with a lot of my students, and they find just a huge amount of relief and inspiration from this. It's so simple. So we start out with the idea that we as adult humans just make music difficult. Okay, and that's really the basis of this entire concept. And just realizing that everything around you is music. Okay, and the birds singing is music, the wind blowing through the trees, it's music, eavesdropping on people in public places can even be music. Okay, now what we're after usually with writer's block is like a hook or this inspirational moment that can then give us the momentum that we need to make something pretty great. Okay. So what you're going to do as soon as you're done with this video is get up and walk out of your house, okay? If you have some destination around you that you can walk to within a few blocks, maybe 15 minutes max, start heading there. It'd be great if it was a fairly public place, like a park or something would be ideal. But if you don't have anything within walking distance, just walk around your house or your studio or your business or whatever a few times, or maybe just jump in your car and head down to a local bakery or coffee shop or restaurant, or again, a park is a great place. A grocery store is another great place. So here's how it works, okay? We are just going to focus on perception and translation of things around us. And it's that simple. We're going to listen in on other people's conversations, okay? Your mom may have taught you that this was rude, or maybe a little too voyeuristic for public consumption. But we're going to turn that idea on its head, and hopefully it's going to help you find inspiration in everyday things. Okay, and you may not even think about these things the same way after this. It's that great. So go find yourself a seat somewhere and wait for people to pass by you having a conversation. And we're all just making this up on the fly here, so I have no idea what I'm going to say next, but that's part of the brilliance of this thing, because you don't know what anyone else around you is going to say next. So find yourself a seat in a coffee shop or on a bench in a park and wait to hear something short, something catchy. You'll know it when it happens. Let's say that you're in a coffee shop and right at the next table over are a couple of people enjoying some muffins or something. And one of them says to the other, pass the butter, please. Okay, that right there is your next hook. All you have to do is translate it for your music. Okay, now we move forward with this idea with the understanding that there are 12 semitones and that people all around the world are making a whole lot of original music, pretty unique stuff, without just blatantly copying each other. With those same 12 semitones, okay? Because there are other things at play. There are, there's the whole gate, the length of the note, the sustain, the various amounts and types of timbre and modulation and rhythm and all of that stuff. So what we're going to do is take that small phrase, pass the butter, please, and figure out exactly what it is. Okay, so it's pass the butter, please. So it's 4 words. It's 5 syllables, and now you get to sit down and play with that phrase, those 5 syllables and those 4 words, until you find something that you're pretty sure is going to be catchy to people other than just you, okay? So pass the butter, please. Okay, so maybe that's like a little jingle-y kind of thing. Maybe you don't want that much pitch variation in there. Maybe you want it to be more of like a bluesy thing or something. So maybe it's more like a let's see if we can do that. Pass the butter, please. Okay, it could be anything. Think about stretching these words out. Please pass the butter. Okay, so I know it sounds corny, and you're going to feel a little silly doing it the first couple of times. But as soon as you stumble upon some kind of variation, some combination of things, what you want to do is grab your phone or a recording device or a piece of paper or something and get that idea out. We have the world in our pocket these days. We should be taking advantage of it. Now, your homework from that point on is as you're going home or back to your business or your studio or whatever, now what you're going to do is think about the actual delivery of these things. What kind of instrument was that that's playing that phrase? Because it's certainly not going to be the words that you heard in your music. That's going to be a melody. That's going to be a hook. Now, let's take this idea just a little bit further and move away from eavesdropping on other people's conversations and move more towards things like nature and industrial and urban sounds around us. For instance, I can go to a construction site and I can see a huge dump truck entering this construction site. Okay, let's say they're building a new supermarket in your neighborhood, and this big dump truck goes across this bump as it enters, and that's a boom. Okay, and then it hits the air brakes, okay, to stop itself so it doesn't run over everyone in the construction site, and then and you get this hiss. Okay, so now you've got this boom and this hiss, and you also notice that it's got these two giant chains hanging on the back tailgate of this truck. So as soon as it stops, it kind of lurches and those chains hit and goes rattle, rattle. So what you have there is this phrase that says to you, boom, hiss, rattle, rattle. Okay. Now there's a lot of really cool things happening there. Boom, hiss, rattle, rattle. Boom, hiss, rattle, rattle. Boom, hiss, rattle, rattle. Okay. And again, you're going to feel like a fool doing this the first few times, but you're going to start feeling a bit more liberated the more you do it, and it's going to start getting a little bit easier for you as you go through it. And you just have to remember that you have things like length of note, sustain. You've got modulation and all these other things that you can start adding to it once you have your phrase figured out. So the first step is figuring out the phrase. Finding the inspiration around you is the goal. Okay, and then the process after you have those two things is simply translating it for your own music. And the really great thing about this is that you can be sitting there with someone else, another creative, and you can both pick up on the same exact phrase, come up with two totally different things. Okay, and that's the brilliance of music. That is what we need to remind ourselves of, the simplicity of that core ideal. And why music is so attractive and so transcendental for so many of us, why it's so universal, because we're constantly taking it in. We may not always call it music, but that's exactly what's happening. And on some level, we all know that. So next time you're frustrated, next time you're in a rut, next time you can't figure out exactly what to do, and maybe that's right now, maybe that's this very moment, maybe you've been struggling with writer's block for a while now, step away. Step away is always a pretty good piece of advice, but step away and move towards inspiration. That's the whole piece of advice. Get the heck out of your room, wherever you are. Get outside. It's best if you're in nature for this, because there's something very liberating and freeing about just having the fresh air around you, no walls, nobody really tuned into you specifically. Go nuts. Be a little kid for a while. Skip around, run around, I don't care. Get into the right kind of frame of mind to start putting a melody to these everyday kind of mundane background sounds that we normally just tune out. So there you go. That's how you can find your next hook. And you are never, ever, ever without inspiration. All you need to do is tap into it. For what it's worth, it's a pretty powerful idea if you're willing to kind of check your ego at the door and have some fun with it, because sometimes simplicity is all you really need to get past whatever you're struggling with. So thanks again, folks. Always appreciate the support. Good seeing you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.